Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. So it's been a couple days since I've been here doing the regular show, but you may be catching the live streams out of our trip here. Anyway, let's jump into things for today. Alright, let's see. Solar wind is blowing at 405 kilometers per second, 405.7 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is at a 1, expected to get no higher in the next 24 hours. We don't see any kind of coronal holes going on or anything of that nature. And M-class flares, 15% chance we could have one of those. About a 1% chance there's going to be an X-class. And as far as geomagnetic storms, we could see that we really have nothing much going on there except in your higher latitudes. Alright, moving from the spaceweather.com onward, astrologically, we are in the sign of Virgo. Virgo is the sign of the analytical one. In the tarot cards, Virgo would be related to the card of the hermit. The hermit is the one who steps away from life, kind of on his own, gets alone in solitude. He's not lonely, but he's alone. Alone because he's out setting a path. The hermit is all about patience and timing. And part of the process of patience is analyzing the information that comes in and being patient enough to know when to take action. So today we are here at the 30th. It is a moon sign is between Pisces and Aquarius, or Aries, Aquarius and Pisces, if you want to say that right. Aquarius being a air sign and Pisces being a water sign. So air is about ideas and creativity, water is about emotions and feelings. So we're in between that idea of our ideas and our feelings all mixing together under the guise of analysis, which is taking place from the Virgo. Our moon phase is almost up to a full moon, 99% full. It'll be a full moon tomorrow. And when we go over to our Mayan Oracle, we could see that we are at a 3-tone day. 3 tones are called the electric tones. The electric tones of activation. The symbol for today is the white wizard. The white wizard is all about timelessness. So today is the electric wizard, or the activation of timelessness. The guide for today is the mirror, which is about endlessness. So today is the activation of timelessness guided by endlessness. How about that one, huh? The supporting cast members around here are the seed, the serpent, and the blue hand. The phrase for today, and back here, we are in a new wave spell. This is the wave spell of the human. The wave spell of the human. The human is all about free will. These 13-day period of time is exactly all about that. And if we go over here, look at the phrase for today. I activate in order to enchant bonding receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of endlessness. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Thursday, August 30th, 2012. Alright, so, moving right along. Where do we go from here? Well, let me give you a little rundown during this part about what's taking place out here on this trip I'm at. I'm out here in Tampa. I'm part of a group of filmmakers on a Road Trip for Liberty. You can find out information, roadtripforliberty.com, about what we're doing, where we're going. Basically, we started off at the Paul Fest in Tampa, Florida. We spent 3 days there. We moved from there into the Republican National Convention. We've been covering that this week. We're going from here onward tomorrow, where we're going to be at the Kennedy Space Center, and I'm going to be doing a live broadcast from NASA. That's right, a live broadcast from the Kennedy Space Center. Next week, we are going to be over at Washington, D.C., actually the day or two after that. We're going to be covering out there and bringing you live coverage. We're then going to the Democratic National Convention. So we're covering a lot, and the whole idea is to bring you information about what's going on from all of these different places. So I am having quite an experience out here. I am seeing many, many things that I've talked about, that we've learned about, and I'm seeing them firsthand. And I got to tell you, I'm sad for America. I'm extremely sad for our country, and I think every American citizen should be concerned. When you see all this footage and stuff that we've collected, you're going to be hopefully equally as concerned. You know, if you check the websites, roadtripforliberty.com or firstcontactradio.com, you could see, you know, we're standing outside, not right at the moment, but we were standing outside the Republican National Convention looking at it, and it was like pictures I've seen of Nazi Germany, because in front of us was a cement barricade, and behind the cement barricade was a fence, and behind that fence was another bigger fence, and behind that bigger fence were National Guard, and then behind the National Guard was another fence, and then was the GOP convention, an event which is involving all Americans, things taking place in there involve all Americans, yet even though it is a public issue of what is going on, the event itself is actually very private, and unless you have a very specific type of credentials, you don't get in. So that in itself is very concerning. It's very concerning that the free speech zones that they set up for Americans are in an area where nobody's going to hear them. Nobody's going to hear anything the people are saying in the free speech zones because they are away from everybody else. And then, of course, when people do go out to speak, they are followed by lots and lots and lots of police officers who, for the most part, have been pretty cool. I've talked to a lot of them. They've been mostly kind and cordial. However, some of them are quite rude and gruff, and they just kind of walk away. There's a lot of them who simply just follow orders. They don't care or question where the orders come from. I've talked to them about unconstitutional orders, and they said they'll never get an unconstitutional order, even though they're getting them and are following them. You know, at the time they're telling me they won't. When topics came up of 9/11 or anything like this, some of these officers just walked away. No conspiracy theories, not interested in hearing them. So there's a real problem that the guys with the guns out there, in this case, that are supposed to be a line of defense against Americans, are actually the ones who seem to be so uneducated about really what's going on. And that's a shame. And every year, as the lies continue, Americans continue to get pushed further and further aside and wonder why. It's because you are believing the lies that you are being told. Stop believing the lies that you are being told, and you will see life in a different way. I'm seeing this over and over and over again every single day. Why are people believing the lies? Why? Why do you believe the lies? You know, if you have a good reason why, please tell me. But I don't know. I don't know why Americans want to believe that. This whole thing that's going on at this GOP convention, absolute joke. Mitt Romney was the guy that they were going to put in no matter what. You're going to see from some of the reports we're going to do today about how things went, but Ron Paul was just cheated all the way through. His delegates have been beat up all the way through. They've had corruption against them, drugs planted in their rooms, cell phones that weren't working, messages from the GOP that were sending them to the wrong places and giving them wrong information. It was one thing after another. And then on the floor of the GOP, changing the actual circumstance that it takes for someone to get on the ballot after Ron Paul got the necessary amount of delegates to get on the ballot. So it's just one bit of corruption after another. America is in a really, really sad state. And all Americans, all of you out there, you should be very concerned for this country You should be sad for this country. And there's a part of me who just wants to say I'm very ashamed for what we have become. And every time I look out and I see the things that we've become, and I hear another American justifying, oh, we need this for the security, it makes me sad. It makes me sad for them. It makes me sad for this country. Because people know better. We don't need that kind of security. We have that kind of security because people want to get at the politicians. Why? Because the politicians are lying. They're not representing the people. Do you think George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, do you think they hid behind big fences and buildings where no one could get to them? No, they didn't. But nowadays, the leaders of this country are such cowards that that's the way they operate. We don't have any honor out there. Barack Obama is not an honorable man. Mitt Romney is not an honorable man. Paul Ryan is not an honorable man. They're not interested in helping what this country is about. They're only interested in keeping the status quo maintained. So, I can go on and on and on. Watch the live streams, firstcontactradio.com, also First Contact Live at YouTube, and then of course roadtripforliberty.com, where you can see and you will see the documentaries coming out. But anyway, that's what's going on out here. I hope and I pray Americans do pull their head out of their ass, basically, because there are so many clueless things going on, so many clueless Americans, and yet there's good people out here. Good people. And I don't say clueless in a bad way as if try to put people down, because that's not the idea. Misinformed. So many Americans have been misinformed and conditioned to believe that this situation they're in is normal, that they've stopped questioning it. And that is the problem. It's time to start questioning. There's nothing wrong with questioning. It helps us to get on the right track. So question America, question the problems, question what's going on. That's what's important. Now, onward to the UFO news. Let's see what we have here today. I have I have 5 stories for us. Story number 1 comes to us. Let's go over here. Alright, story number 1. This is a sighting over Brooklyn, New York. Took place on the 26th. Alright, we got 3 big lights there. Are these part of the same craft, or are these 3 different objects as mass UFO sightings? So that would answer the question there. Strange lights over Brooklyn, New York. Last night, the 26th, about 11 p.m. All in things were 30, 40 of these glowing orbs that looked to be flying in a near-perfect triangle. We were mesmerized by several of the groups of people who also witnessed the flights from the corner of Vanderbilt to DeKalb Avenues. They were clearly not aircraft or helicopters. They were in 2 perfect formations. Let's check out the video, see what we've got here. Alright, this is over New York. And this video itself is only about a minute 50. Alright. And you can see they're very faint on the screen. Alright. Now. Alright, there you go. A little bit of a point of reference. There you go. You see them right there? So check out the video, pull it up. You can see it in a larger view. And let's move on to the next story here. Alright, so next one comes to us from Denmark. This is a UFO fleet caught on tape over Viborg, Denmark on the 28th. Check this out. As you can see, where are we at here? Okay, this video comes to us from... Alright, we're going to take the advertising, so let me just jump over to the next one while that's doing its business. We have UFO and anomalies near the sun. This is pictures of NASA Soho. Now, you know, we're seeing a lot of these type of objects up near the sun, up by the moon. You're going to see some of those in a moment. Something's going on. Remember the one of the long object that seemed to be like a gas hose drawing energy from the sun? Well, there's a lot. So these objects aren't normal, but they are up there by the sun, and they've been up there, and lots of folks are seeing them. So Here we go. When looking closely at the anomalies orbiting our sun, I noticed there are many of them have yellow orb glow coming from. I add light to make them better to see their true colors or dimensions. These look more like space stations than they do ships, but maybe they are both, with millions and billions of years of evolution and technology. Alien tech is beyond our wildest dreams. Just one of these stations could hold almost our whole population of Earth. Let's check out this video here. Alright. And there we go. So, now remember, these are coming from Soho. This is something available for everybody. It's not like it's hidden information. All there is required is a willingness to look. A willingness to look. Okay. And we've got different, there we go, there's one right down yonder. Okay. These are large objects. Remember how large the sun is, and as they're saying, these objects here are large enough to hold the entire population of the Earth, is what they're being calculated to be. Those are pretty large. Okay? Why are they out there? What are they gathering for? Again, don't believe the hype that they're here to attack, because they are not. Had they wanted to attack, they would have done so. Had they wanted to invade, they would have done so. The fact that we're seeing them, they've not invaded, well, that we know that they're there. That blows the element of surprise, and it goes against the idea of what an invasion is all about. All right? Lots of sightings up by the sun. All right? There's one after another, so something to consider. Check out the video. It's available. All right, let's go back over here. What we got? All right. What we got? All right, this is the video over Denmark. Let's replay this. All right, look at that one. Now that's quite a sight. Look at how that one's buzzing around there. I don't think that's the camera that's moving like that. That is an object that, and it looks like we got a second object there, 3, 4. Some of these objects look like they're connected together, don't they? The way that they're moving in synchronicity, as if they're the light on the ends of an object. They all are a similar type too. Okay? There you go. Let's move on to our next sighting. Next one here comes to us. This is mile-wide UFO seen orbiting Earth's moon. August. There we go. We got the moon there. Alright, we got one right there. Here's another one in question here. This amazing close-up view of the moon allows us to see the UFOs as they fly in orbit around the moon. These UFOs must be a mile or more in diameter for them to be seen so well and so large. I've used my telescope before to view this strange phenomena, and it is 100% real. Imagine the detail you would get from a massive-sized telescope at the observatory. Sadly, they waste time looking at the stars thinking that the moon has nothing new. Alright, let's check it out. This is a minute-long video. And here we go. Object right here. That area. And then move on a little closer here. There's another one. So what are these objects that are out there that are so large? Alright, and let's move around finally to our last story for today. This is on the UFO news. This is an update on the Baltic Sea. We haven't talked about this in a while. Divers, with the help of data streaming, are releasing information on the so-called Baltic Sea UFO. However, what kind of updates are being released? Based on the interview by team leader Peter Lindbergh, it seems that there are only a few questions that have answers. The team is using some 3D photographic equipment, but according to Lindbergh, they encountered some technological difficulties to collect high-quality 3D images. But there is more technical difficulties. All of Scandinavia is on vacation during the month of August. So even though this activity is big around the globe, vacation time is much more important. However, it is expected the sun does not always shine in the area of the Earth. No official announcement yet on the release date of the 3D images, but they are expected to be released before the fall of 2012. Also, it appears that the original depictions of the anomaly are gone. It seems that the object has two distinct sections. A rounded object lies above the base, sitting on the seafloor. The possibility the object was manufactured cannot be ruled out with this information, but only a closer investigation will reveal whether it is a geological formation or not. Lindbergh is getting ready for a third expedition, but it will not come out until next summer. The recent exploration will take a break by the end of September because of unfavorable weather conditions, giving difficulties to divers to dive and see. So for now, the Baltic Sea anomaly can still be technically referred to as UFO. Hopefully more information will be released after vacation time. There you have it. That is our UFO news report for today. Let me jump away, as always, to a song. I'll be right back. First Contact Radio will continue on momentarily. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. What if by land and two if by sea? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue on with what we've got today. All right, so I was telling you all about what's going on out here and Ron Paul. Well, this is a report. This is a report by Ben Swan talking about what's going on, 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 talking about.
Thanks so much. The Republican National Convention kicks off in 4 days in Tampa. And just in time for the convention, an entire state's delegates are replaced by the RNC. It's a story that we've been following for 6 months. Tonight, Ben has the reality check that you won't see anywhere else.
Only a few days before the Republican Party holds its convention in Tampa. We've been following the delegate process for months, almost to the point of exhaustion, and yet no one else will do it. For months, we've also told you how the RNC just won't follow its own rules. Well, now that we're days away, the final attempts to control every aspect of that convention have fallen into place. The biggest fear for the RNC is that the appearance at the convention will be that 100% of the delegates don't want Mitt Romney. The only problem is they don't. Whether you like them or not, almost 20% of the delegates who will be in Tampa next week don't support Romney. Nearly 20% support Congressman Ron Paul, others support Rick Santorum, and still others Newt Gingrich. But the delegates who support Santorum or Gingrich have no ability to cause problems because of the RNC's 5-state rule. You see, under that rule, a delegate must have a plurality of delegates from 5 states in order to have their name nominated from the convention floor. As I've told you, unlike Gingrich and Santorum, Congressman Paul has that plurality. The majority of delegates in Maine, Minnesota, Nevada, Iowa, and Virginia are Paul supporters. He also had a majority in Oregon and Louisiana, plus a large group of 17 delegates from Massachusetts. Now, as I've told you, the RNC for months has been stripping those delegates of their credentials. The Massachusetts 17, as they're called, removed. The entire Louisiana Liberty delegation removed. Oklahoma not seated because the RNC Rules Committee allowed the state to break its own rules. The same thing happened in Oregon. But even after continuously breaking their own rules and stripping so many states of these delegates, the RNC came up short. The 5-state rule was still a problem because a plurality of 5 states was still intact. Again, Maine, Minnesota, Iowa, Nevada, and Virginia. So what to do? Well, just change the rules. You see, this week, the RNC Rules Committee tried to take care of their 5-state problem by changing the 5-state rule. A motion was made in the Rules Committee to increase the number of states from 5 to 10. But the motion failed by 1 vote. What was changed, delegates must indicate in writing at least 1 hour before the vote who they intend to nominate. By the way, it was a Republican committeeman from Virginia who fought against that change, saying it was unfair to change the rule just to prevent Ron Paul's name from being placed into nomination after he'd already won 5 states. So that didn't work. Instead, the RNC decided to take another extraordinary step. In this case, the RNC decided to go back and reinstate some of those Liberty delegates, actually give them back their seats from states where they had stripped them of their credentials. The Massachusetts 17, this week, 11 of them were reinstated. In Louisiana, 27 of the 46 had been Liberty delegates. Well, the RNC this week reinstated 17 of them. That's good news, right? But if the RNC is going to give a little, it's also going to take a little, like the delegation from Maine. As of today, all but 5 of Maine's 48 delegates and alternates may not be seated. The RNC Committee on Contests is recommending to the full RNC complete invalidation of the Maine Convention and the decertification of the Maine delegation. The RNC is only planning to seat the state party chairman, the national committeeman, the national committeewoman, Governor Paul LePage, and his wife, Mrs. LePage. Rather than allowing Republicans in Maine, though, to choose the replacements, the Rules Committee is also recommending that the RNC break one more rule and simply appoint a new Maine delegation. So what you need to know? The delegates from Maine who were elected to those spots by voters in Maine are heading to Tampa no matter what the RNC says, and they say they're going to fight for those spots. But the bigger issue here, again, why have rules if you don't follow them? Why does the RNC even have a 5-state rule if a candidate gets 5 states and then they want to change it to a 10-state rule? And then, when that doesn't work, they just remove delegates, an entire state's worth of delegates, and replace them with people who will do what they say. Because at the end of the day, that's all that either party really seems to be interested in. And that is Reality Check.
If you would like to make your voice heard on this story, you can head over to Ben's Facebook page. You can find it by searching Ben Swan, WXIX.
All right, so that's the sad state of affairs of what has been going on out here. It's absolutely ridiculous how they have manipulated the situation. And it's like a night and day difference between what's going on outside and what's going on inside. People need to stand up. Something really bad is going on in this country. I'm going to find out how much cheating they're doing over there in the DNC. Now, this cheating, not a surprise to me. It's not like I knew that they weren't doing this, but just to see it and just see the level of it is just incredible. The way that these delegates, and I've gotten to know a number of them and meet them over the course of time here, the way these delegates have gotten beaten up, absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. So, anyway, let's continue on. This next one is a tribute to Ron Paul.
It's the American story. Charting your own path. Forging new ways forward. Not because it's the easy way, but because it's the right way. And for those with dedication, character, faith, and conviction. Sometimes that lonely path paves the way forward for millions. Ron Paul, 22 years in Congress, he's never voted for a tax increase, never voted for a debt ceiling increase, never wavered, never backed down.
The role of government ought to be for the protection of liberty, not for the intrusion in our private lives, not for the intrusion in economic affairs.
You can't keep borrowing from China. You can't keep printing the money. We have to cut some spending.
I believe in limited government. I believe in individual liberty.
We've spent too much, we tax too much, we borrow too much.
It's bankrupting this country.
I knew I did not want to be a politician all my life. Matter of fact, I was surprised I ever won because this message I thought would not go well with the people because I'm not making wild promises. Of course, my wife warned me this was a dangerous project because she said you could end up getting elected.
And he said, no, I'm not going to be elected. He said, you have to be like Santa Claus. You have to give them something. He says, I don't want to give them something or bring home the bacon. He said, I want to give them their freedom.
It's been a consistent theme since his very first election that government's grown too large, and as government grows larger, your freedoms grow smaller. And he's fought this through the years.
When I first got to the House, I thought Ron Paul was nuts. He was out there talking about the Federal Reserve, the monetary system, but more and more I found myself voting with him.
He's been talking about these things since the early 1970s, and he hasn't wavered, he hasn't buckled, even when he's had to stand alone.
I've always put politicians into two categories. They're either here to make a point or they're here to make a difference. Ron Paul is the only one I know who made a difference by making a point.
We need lower taxes, less regulations, and we need to free up the market.
He's been an absolute fiscal hawk, one of the most fiscally conservative members in the history of the Congress.
I can guarantee you we wouldn't have a $16 trillion debt if we had 435 Ron Pauls in Congress.
The more I think about him over the years, the more inspiring it is of what he's done. Not being afraid of anything, but willing to stand for what he thought was right. Ron Paul was Tea Party before there was a Tea Party.
If you want honesty and integrity, look to Ron Paul, and that's based on his faith and based on his belief in the Constitution.
He's willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do because his convictions are so deep.
As long as we live beyond our means, we are destined to live beneath our means.
Well, one of the extraordinary things about my father is that, the lobbyists don't even come by his office. They don't even bother to come by because they know he can't be bought.
And that passion is born of a deep and abiding conviction that these are correct principles.
He stands for freedom. He stands for liberty. He stands for the traditional American values that made this country great.
The longer we go and the deeper in debt we get, the more apparent it is that Ron Paul was right all those years.
Whether people want to admit it or not, Ron Paul changed the conversation.
All right, so there you go. Tribute to Dr. Paul. They played that the other day at the rally. I'm telling you, it was an amazing thing to see Dr. Paul speak. Amazing thing. No teleprompters. Spoke for an hour, about an hour or so. Just spoke. He was like your friend telling you, here's what's going wrong in the world. Here's what needs to be done to fix it. It was really awesome. I got the whole thing in video. Going to get that all together. It's going to be part of our whole presentation. So stay tuned for that. All right, this next story here is a story that comes to us from Intel Hub. And this story says, DHS Source, it's going to get hot. Obama false flag coming. Now, we've talked about this before. DHS inside source claims Obama White House set to set major false flag. It's going hot. It's going hot. Those are the ominous opening and closing words from my source within the inside Department of Homeland Security and 2 separate contacts we had within the last 72 hours. Readers to this website and listeners to my radio program know the source as Rosebud, a source with access to high levels of DHS administration. Alright, I've got a video here. It's 14 minutes in length. I'm not going to play any of it right now because it just wouldn't do it justice to only play a little portion of it for you. However, the link is available at the site so you can watch it. Check it out yourself. See what you think. Alright. And moving right along. Next story here. I found this one to be quite fascinating. This is the Truther Girls. We play the Truther Girls from time to time, and quite insightful information. This fits right into that category of interesting, insightful information.
Hi everyone. Well, science fiction is becoming science reality. Brain in a dish flies plane. I know, how crazy is that? They got a brain in a dish flying a plane and I can't even get my driver's license.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on the road. Oh my god, it is a one-way street. God, I almost hit that guy.
Well, actually, it's not exactly a brain in a dish and it's not exactly flying a plane. They've taken rat brain neurons and created a kind of neural network and interfaced it with a flight simulator. So basically, they're creating some kind of cyborg here. And what's the next step? Rat brain controlled drones? Drones are scary anyway. You know that they're operated by some teenager somewhere in some bunker who thinks he's playing a video game. But it seems even scarier when it's operated by a rat brain. Did they really have to take the neurons out of the rat brain? Couldn't they have maybe just wired up the rat? I don't know if that would really work, but it would be cuter. Maybe this could be stopped. Maybe you could get the PETA people involved or something. And that's not all, kids. Researchers demonstrate first backdoor hack into the human brain. Okay, you see this machine here? This is a machine that they put on your head and then they can hack your brain. They can ask you questions, pull out any kind of information from you, like what bank you deal with or what your PIN number is. And it's like 20 questions, but you can't lie. So you can imagine the applications this could have.
Did you sleep with Carlos?
No.
I'm gonna ask you one more time. Did you sleep with Carlos?
Okay, I did. I slept with Carlos.
Did you like it? Did you know Carlos was a pussy?
No, I didn't.
Did Carlos eat your pussy?
No. If you had a machine like this at Guantanamo that can hack the human brain, then you wouldn't have to do things like waterboard people, which is probably why they'd never use it, because you can't waterboard people. Well, that's no fun. And plus, if they used this, they'd probably get the truth. And that would suck, because they don't want the truth. What's really happening here is we're heading towards transhumanism. I remember having a conversation with somebody who was saying that he'd be eager to receive a chip in his brain because then he could download all his news directly to his brain. More like download a lot of brainwashing and propaganda. The way they sell us transhumanism is to make us think that this is going to just take us to the next level, to make us smarter and greater and stronger. But really, it could be used for a much more sinister purpose. What it's just going to do is enslave us. And if you don't know about transhumanism, you should check out this film from Max Egan, Transformation. The only application I could see for transhumanism in my own life would be if it somehow made it easier for me to get my driver's license. Not that I would necessarily receive a chip in my brain, but maybe I could just get a brain in a dish to chauffeur me around. So let me know what you think. Are you a fan of this kind of science, or do you find it scary? Would you receive a brain chip? My guess is probably most of you would say no. I know I would. So leave me your comments, and thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.
Pretty weird, huh? Pretty weird things and decisions that people in the world are having to make and even consider. And I know some of this seems so far out there, but this is the reality of what's going on. And one day you may have to decide whether or not you want a chip in your brain or maybe a rat just to drive you around. But hey, don't we have a bunch of rats in Washington kind of leading us around anyway? So I guess it makes sense that they would want to use the rat brain for their projects because, well, they're really conditioned and used to working with rats. Maybe we need the Pied Piper to lead the rats all out of town, huh? That might be what we need. All right, moving right along, very last thing for today is our meditation. Close your eyes and relax. Now what I want you to do for this meditation is just real simple. As you got your eyes closed, I want you to imagine right where you are now, first of all, that all your chakras are activated, from the bottom of your spine to the top of your head. Red at the bottom of your spine, orange just above that at solar plexus, yellow at the rib cage, green at the heart chakra, blue at the throat chakra, violet at the third eye, indigo at the crown chakra, and then the light continues on into the cosmos. Imagine yourself connected above and below to the earth and to the sky. Understand how the spirit flows through you all around. Now, with our mind's eye, what I want to teach you and want you to imagine is something that is very... What I want you to imagine is that what I want you to imagine is that you are looking at a series of lights, like the lights on a runway. And as you are looking at these lights, these runway lights, I want you to imagine these lights continuing past you on into the future. And let's imagine these lights going forward to September 11th, 2012. And let us take ourselves to that future moment and let us fill that moment with light. Let us fill that moment with light. We'll arrive early by light. And now from that moment of September 11, 2012, let's take ourselves continuing forward. And as we move forward each step, we fill that future moment with light. We move from September to October to November. 11/11 in November. Let us go to that moment, November 11, 2012. Let us fill that moment with light and love and victory. And let us charge forward from there. Let us see those lights as if the lights on a runway moving forward all the way to December 21st, 2012. And let us take that moment there and let us fill that moment with light. And let us use this light to dissipate and disallow all darkness. Let us see that all who arrive at this moment arrive at light, and those who arrive with darkness simply are dissipated. That the darkness is destroyed and only light moves forward. Let us imagine as we move forward into the future that all those holding the power of darkness are instantly destroyed into the cosmos, into the void. Let us imagine that darkness no longer exists and only light exists in the future. And we move forward with this power of this light on into our future, and we light a bright future, a bright path ahead of us. And now bring your energy and attention from there back to the moment where you are. And while you're seeing those moments ahead and know what is ahead, feel confident knowing that the path has been set. Confident because the path has been set. So now let's just think love, and let's send love out all around the planet to each and every individual. Imagine love being sent back to you. And with that idea of love in your heart, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And there you have it, my friends. That is our show for today. Thank you very much for being here again at First Contact Radio. Tomorrow, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast from the Kennedy Space Center. That's right. Live, Josh Poet, First Contact Radio live at the Kennedy Space Center. So stay tuned for that. Check in. I'm going to be back on the road. We're getting lots of great footage so we can bring you lots of great information about what's going on. Stay tuned for our upcoming documentary, Road Trip for Liberty. You can check out all the stuff that we've been doing thus far, roadtripforliberty.com. And of course, updates are also available at firstcontactradio.com. Stay tuned. Have an awesome day. Keep thinking positive because we can change. There's a lot of craziness and corruption and darkness in this world, but there's a lot more light bearers and a lot more good stuff. We got to think of the good to get rid of the bad. We can do it. I know we can. We just have to keep telling ourselves and encouraging each other. That's what it is. We're all in this together. Let's keep going on. Love ya. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.